report shows an explosion in the number of transactions that banks flagged as suspicious.
Yeah, the report getting a lot of attention at this hour that's expected to be followed through as the U.S. market opens. That the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, which is citing these leaked documents, reports that about $2 trillion in illicit funds have been transferred by major banks around the world over the better part of the last 2 decades. And what they're saying is this shows that the huge fines that were imposed on banks in recent years really have not made much of a difference. They also say that banks moved money for people or entities they could not identify, and in many cases failed to file the required suspicious activity reports, or SARs. In fact, these BuzzFeed sent to all these journalists 2,100 SARs, or suspicious activity reports, and while the details of the reports are not clear, the quality of these reports in which the banks put out that they believe that some of the transfers they're being presented with are dodgy indicates, again, that there's been an explosion of this activity. In fact, the report shows that Deutsche Bank and J.P. Morgan Chase were the 2 largest banks in reporting to federal authorities that they were concerned about the amount of money coming through. They disclosed $1.3 trillion of suspicious money flows in the files. Deutsche Bank did, and J.P. Morgan Chase disclosed $514 billion. The analysis by ICIJ found.
So, Sue, how does it all reflect on efforts to crack down on illegal transfers?
Well, there's big concern now that this report, again, while being disseminated to a consortium of journalists, I'm seeing that it's being reported just in the last couple hours by the New York Times, by Reuters, by NBC News. So it's getting a lot of coverage and calling attention to what many critics are saying is deep flaws in the system. One of the bank policy critics, and they're an industry that represents the banks, says that these banks put out these reports to the federal agencies, and only a small percentage of them are followed through on. Conversely, they say that many of the banks are allowed to delay the reports. In other words, they can report that they were concerned about a transfer after the transfer has been made. And there's also a concern that this will be yet another black eye for many of the international banks that between 2012 and 2015 were given billions of dollars in fines. As noted, HSBC and Standard Chartered were 2 of the banks that got big black eyes in the last 7 years, and those stocks are falling now as the issue is brought front and center once again.